Well, I'm liking it. I think I've done enough playing on it. You know, the sky, I love the sky. I think it's turned out just fine. I like how the whole thing has worked out, really. The sky has become an etherealized, multi-layered screen that you can look at. I love that. You know, I quite like how that turned out. But I'm gonna stop now because I can just keep, you know, I could etherealize the foreground too. And before you know it, I would etherealize the painting out of existence. I want to maintain simplicity and strength from here on down. But I'm liking that. Let's just review the colors here. The sky contains, not in order of importance, just going to list it off. Cadmium, or titanium white, obviously. Yellow ochre, cadmium yellow pale, alizarin crimson, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and raw umber. So mixtures of those all through here. I've used some on the sheds, the shed roofs, and this pole has been, again, mixtures of burnt sienna, titanium white, and a touch of ultramarine blue. Now the walls here, even these walls, are what did I just say? Oh, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and a bit of white. Obviously more ultramarine blue and less burnt sienna. The bush in the background, that's just part of what I've laid in here. What? Ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and a bit of white. Oh, and a touch of yellow ochre. Coming down into here. Let's separate this into two distinct groups of colors. The foreground is almost all burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and white. Okay? That's the simpler of the three, or of the two areas. In here, I've used cobalt blue, burnt sienna, titanium white, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna. Oh, sorry, I said burnt sienna already, I guess. You know, in a few spots here and there. I've even touched a little bit of alizarin crimson in places. Not so much to give the impression of alizarin crimson as to modify or maybe warm up or maybe dumb down the chroma of the blues that I've used in here. So a lot of cobalt blue. A good chunk of it I started out with cerulean blue, just to play with something because I've got so much of the stuff. Not terribly happy with it. I ended up mixing a lot of burnt sienna into that cerulean blue and a fair bit of yellow ochre, and I ended up with something that was actually even greener than I was anticipating. I'm not a big fan of very green, very intense greens unless I have a lot more green on the painting. This one, there's not really that much. I wanted to keep this toned down. I wanted to keep the greens a low chroma because I did not want competition with my favorite area, my focal area. Yeah, that's about it. I did also use a little bit of, you know, I used cerulean blue, cobalt blue, and ultramarine blue mixed in with burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and maybe even the odd shot of raw umber just to keep it dumbed down again, and of course some titanium white. That's it. Hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. Let me just grab my next canvas to show you. I'm not going to put it on the easel yet because by the end of the day I may still see something in here that I think, you know, I might, let me back the camera off. By the end of the day I might just see something that bothers me, and although you do have to know when to stop painting on a painting, or you will kill it, I will usually, it's in the afternoon now, I'll usually just, I'm not worried about painting anymore today. I'm probably just going to leave it here for another couple of hours while I go elsewhere in the studio, play with other stuff, and occasionally revisit this with my eyes. If something pops out, I'll change it now. If not, that's coming upstairs with me to live while it dries, and I got a 16 by 20. I think I'll do a 16 by 20. Again, it's a small painting, but it's not a tiny painting. So we'll play with this. More than likely, I'm just going to tint this as well, and put a drawing on it once I've done that. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this one, but there's no shortage of ideas. They just sort of, they make their way into your head and they fester, and unless you work with them, they'll give you an aneurysm. No, just kidding. See you later. Have a good rest of the weekend. Bye. Oh, sorry. I guess I should square off. I always forget to do that. Always I am forgetting to do that. Okay. Clickety click and zoom. Okay, so that's pretty basic foreground there. So we'll zoom in more as we come to our sheds. And yeah, I kind of, for such a small painting, I don't normally put that much subtlety, that many subtleties in the skies, but this one, well, it just ended up that way. I'm okay with that. I have, on occasion, painted a sky and tightened it up and tightened it up and tightened it up, and then eventually I just went in with a broader knife and loosened the thing up again, because eventually you kill the painting. I don't think that happened this time. But you can see in the sky there's quite a mix of places where I've scumbled, a few strokes that I've laid on directly with a brush, and quite a few places where I've laid on some bolder strokes with the knife. You see, that's almost straight cad yellow pale there. A bit of white, and a bit of yellow ochre mixed in. And then I've just used yellow ochre and white over here. Stayed away from the cads so that the chroma would get knocked down. Although the value is very high, it does not have the warm strength of the cad yellow pale. Hints of alizarin crimson here and there. See, that's just a few strokes. Basically turned out very well. What a certain spot where you say, well, that's a happy accident. And you don't worry about making happy accidents, because then it's not an accident anymore, is it? It's intentional. Okay. Have a good weekend. See you soon, guys.